What's going on, everybody? It's Christian Miller, and I'm here to give you guys my A-Day analysis, my breakdown from the game this past weekend, kicking off the Kalen DeBoer era here in Tuscaloosa. But before I do that, I need to remind you guys to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like this video, that always helps us out. And I want you to leave a comment down below on your thoughts from A-Day. What were some positives, maybe some negatives? What players stood out to you the most? I want to hear all those things down in the comment section below. So without further ado, let's go ahead and kick things off. You got to start with the running back room, right? I thought they stood out the most during A-Day, and I was very impressed with Jam Miller leading the charge, 83 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. He just looked great out there. Him and Justice Haynes, I'm excited about this tandem. They're going to be a 1-2 punch. They're going to continue that tradition of excellence from the backfield here at Alabama. So I'm excited about that, along with Daniel Hill, Richard Young, another young guy who stepped up, 7 attempts, 29 yards, 1 touchdown. So I was very pleased with the running back room, and I think they were the highlight of the day. And I think they put everybody on notice that we might potentially have the best running back room in the country. And I believe that they're going to continue to make strides. But ultimately, from where they're at right now in the spring, I really feel like we're going to rely on them heavily in this upcoming season. So that's going to be really nice to see, that rushing attack continue for Alabama. Moving on to the quarterbacks. I thought Jalen Milroe showed those improvements that he's been making this offseason. His mechanics looked to be cleaned up. He had some nice throws. We saw to Jeremy Bernard with some nice touch on him. Looked more comfortable and confident in the pocket. I think that's a testament to the work that he's been putting in this offseason, working with Coach DeBoer, Coach Sheridan. I think this is a great opportunity for him to really grow as a football player, working with this new staff. So I'm excited to see his progress because he's on the right trajectory, and I think they're really going to do what they need to do to maximize his potential and utilize his skill set. Again, it was A-Day. We didn't see a whole bunch, but I've been out there a lot during the spring, and I've been able to see kind of the things that they're working on with him and some of the things that they have planned, right? And I think they're going to do the things necessary to really maximize the skill set. So I'm very pleased with where he's at in his development. Ty Simpson, 7-12, 102 yards on the day. A nice showing. He flashed some promise as well. To me, he looks a lot more mature, a lot more developed, and a lot more comfortable as well. And so if you're looking at the quarterback room, I think you got to feel really good about having those two guys. Jalen Milroe, your starter. Ty Simpson, the guy who's really coming along, really pushing Jalen in that competition. Those guys, definitely are making each other better right now. Definitely Jalen is clearly the starter. Ty Simpson is another really good football player in that room. But you also have Dylan Lonergan, Austin Mack, those guys who help round out that quarterback room. So I'm really pleased with kind of where those guys are right now as well. Offensive line, I thought they did a nice job, right? Obviously, if you're running the ball well, the offensive line is doing their job. I thought they looked good up front. They played pretty physical. But really what stood out to me was their ability to climb to the next level. A lot of those runs were hitting on the outside. They were hitting on the perimeter. So that showed me that the offensive linemen were doing a nice job climbing to the next level, right? Working in space, climbing those DBs, hitting the perimeter, and sealing those blocks. So I was very impressed with that. Pass pro, they were solid, kept a clean pocket for the most part. So I was pleased with the offensive line in the scrimmage. I still think you add a guy from the portal, maybe two, Brailsford. He's still, to be determined whether he's going to be playing or not. So we'll see about that. But Brockermeyer did step up, but I still wouldn't mind adding a guy maybe on the interior with some experience. Definitely the tackle spot, you could utilize some experience. Caden Pryor's supposed to be coming back. So that will help out, and he's going to have to earn that job back. But he obviously is a very experienced guy now that he had a whole year starting at left tackle for Alabama last season. Maybe you go get a right tackle from the portal. We'll see. But overall, some nice developments from the offensive line. Tight ends weren't utilized a whole bunch in A-Day, but I fully expect them to contribute heavily in the fall. We know that Coach DeBoer in this system, they like to use tight ends. I've seen that during the spring, so I expect to see that in the fall. So I think they're on the right track. CJ Dupree, Robbie Oots, even young Danny Lewis, I think those guys are scheduled to make some nice contributions to this football team. The receivers, my only gripe would be the drops that we saw during A-Day. But again, no need to panic. That's something that they can work on. There's fundamentals, there's technique, there's focus, concentration. Those are things that can be cleaned up. Jeremy Bernard was the highlight of the receiver room. 3 receptions, 122 yards, showed why he was a great addition from the portal. Getting him from Washington, coming with Kalen DeBoer. So I expect him to be a very consistent target for Jalen Milroe. I think that's exactly what they need. They need a guy that's reliable, that you can throw to. And I think his connection with Jalen Milroe will be important, along with the other guys. I mean, Cole Adams stepped up. He's a young guy that you might see in the rotation at some point. Caleb Odom, a big body receiver that can really use that frame to go up and high point the football. Kobe Prentice is a guy who's been developing nicely over the past couple of years. Emmanuel Henderson, we might see step up. Then you get Ryan Williams in the summer. So that room is taking shape. Maybe if there's a playmaker in the portal, you never can have too many skill guys. If there's a true dominant wide receiver one in the portal, I wouldn't be mad if they go and get that. I think they definitely could benefit from that, but we'll have to see. But let's move to the defensive side of football. The good news is, they turn things around. And what I'm getting at is, obviously, you guys saw it. The first few drives were definitely a little underwhelming. There was some poor tackling. They didn't look very physical. Trust me, I get it. I know it's a spring game, but here's my thing to that. Because I know people are going to say, man, it's a spring game. They're going to be vanilla. They're going to limit the play calls. I know all that, guys. I played in 4 of them, right? I played here at Alabama. So I understand all that. But one thing I also know is that as a competitor, it doesn't matter what the call is. You got to line up and beat the guy in front of you. You got to have that mindset that I'm going to go out there, especially as a defensive guy, and I'm going to set the tone, right? The play call has nothing to do with making the tackle. It has nothing to do with being physical. It has nothing to do with your energy or intensity. So that's my only thing with the defense, man, is that they initially didn't come out the way I'd hope, right? And that'd be, playing fast, physical, relentless, and better with some of their mechanics and fundamentals. But the good news is they turned it around as the scrimmage went on. And I think one of the catalysts for that was Devontae Smith kind of led the charge by getting everybody in the huddle on the sideline after the offense went like 3 for 3 or 4 for 4 with scoring drives. He got everybody together and said, hey, man, this isn't how we do things. And it was a come to Jesus meeting on the sideline. And after that, things they got turned around. So to me, plus I talked to Q Robinson on the radio cast because I was working as a sideline reporter, and I asked him, hey, kind of what changed from the first few series to now? Now you guys have, you got some stops under your belt now, but you start off a little slow. Kind of what were the differences? And he said it wasn't schematics. It was more so just shifting our mindset. So the good news is, the initial struggles more than likely were probably due to, just lack of intensity. Then again, fundamentals like missed tackles and lack of physicality. What I'll say is this. Would I panic over that stuff? No, because we saw that kind of get turned around in the scrimmage. But at the same time, I do think if this defense wants to be, a great defense, not just a good defense, but a great defense, and try to live up to the standards of the past defenses here at Alabama, they're going to have to adjust their attitude and their mindset. And it can't just be just because it's a spring game, right, that we're going to kind of come out a little, whatever. You got to be relentless and have that intensity at all times. I think we could benefit from having some more dogs on this defense. I know we've talked about that in the past. We don't seem to have as many dogs. I think there could be some more dogs on this team. There's a lot of good leaders, but there's different types of leadership, right? We need some more vocal guys, some more guys that are really going to demand it out of everybody else. But we also need a few more pieces, and I think that was one thing that I noticed, even not just from A-Day, but just from the spring collectively, right? I think you definitely need, probably some help in the secondary. There's just a lot of youth. There's a lot of talent, but a lot of them are young, right? You did get Keon Sabb. You got him and Malachi and Amani Jackson, some solid players with some experience, but I like some more experience at the other cornerback spot. I think we saw that in the scrimmage, just would benefit from having some more experience there, maybe another safety. I think for the most part up front, the front 7 played well. Once they started getting their gears going, they played more physical. They did a better job stopping the run up front, getting more knockback. That improved. So I was pleased with that. And then, the linebackers, you got Jahad Campbell, Deontay Lawson. You got to feel good about those experienced football players in the middle. But one thing I will say is I think we could do a better job getting a little more pass rush, right? And I get it that it's just a scrimmage. Trust me, again, I know that it's vanilla. But again, if it's a call where you just got one-on-one, just beat the guy in front of you. That's just talent. That has nothing to do with the call. And so it's going to be tough replacing a guy like Dallas Turner or Chris Braswell. I like Q Robinson. I like Keanu Cope. I like Quay Russo. I think those are going to be – that's the pecking order, right? Those are your 3 top contributors right now. Maybe add an experienced guy out of the portal at the edge spot just to help generate some more pass rush. We'll have to see. But overall, man, I think they're on the right track. Offense, in my opinion, is a little further ahead of the defense, which is fine. It's honestly probably to be expected. There's a lot more, continuity on the offensive side of the ball. in terms of their returners, in terms of the coaches that came in working together, right? So defensively, they got a little bit of catch up to do. But the good news is this is spring, and this is what this time is for. It's to do your install, to teach your system to the players, for them to go work on the fundamentals to become better football players, and ultimately for the coaches and the staff to look at their personnel and see, hey, we need to clean up this, right? We need to get better here. We need to put this guy here. Let's try moving this around. So that's ultimately what they're going to do. So overall, I was pleased with this A-Day, man. And I think we saw what you'd expect out of a spring game. It was vanilla, but, ultimately there's some back and forth. The defense did some things well, had some struggles. Offense, same thing, right? Did some things well early on, started to struggle a little bit here and there. But ultimately, I think this team is on the right track. I think there's definitely some more pieces that they need to get in order to kind of get them in the position that they want to be. I think that's what they'll do as soon as this portal opens up. And so ultimately, man, you look at this team, again, there's a lot of young talent. We got to see some of that on display. Justin Okoronkwo, linebacker from Germany, led the team in tackles with 11 total. Looks like he's going to have a bright future. He kind of was very active all over the place. Jeremiah Alexander also had 7 tackles on the day, another guy we've talked a lot about during the spring. And then Red Morgan, he's got a bright future, man. Just another young player. So they got talent, man. Red Morgan's been making plays all spring, but they're young players. So I definitely think they could benefit from adding a little more experience from the portal in a couple spots, and we'll see if they do that. But nonetheless, man, I think after watching the spring game and watching this team throughout the spring, I think they've made some nice strides over the course of the spring. And now these coaches have a lot of game film, or practice film, I should say, for them to go and evaluate to see kind of where they stack up at each position, where they might need to improve at, and ultimately figure out the best direction for this team. So I'm pleased with the progress. I thought overall it was a solid scrimmage, a solid A-Day. It was a great turnout, 72,000 plus. So shout out to all the fans that were out there. And yeah, man, I want to hear all your guys' comments down below. Again, what players stood out to you? What were some positives in the game? What were some negatives maybe? And kind of what do you want to see moving forward for this football team? But again, man, thank you guys so much for the support. If you haven't already, subscribe, like this video. That helps a lot. And again, don't forget to drop all your feedback down in the comments below. Again, I'm Christian Miller with the Miller's Edge, and we'll see you guys next time.